Good morning, Benson Valley. This is the Woodwind video. This will be our fourth video. Um, the first three were going over another brick in the wall. This week, you should be turning in the third pass off for another brick in the wall, which will be the end of the song. To where you should be able to play through that entire song now. This week we are starting. I don't want to stop. So I don't want to stop is kind of our opener 1B. What we're going to do is combine I don't want to stop and another brick in the wall into one solid opener. We haven't completely figured out how we're going to do that yet. We have some ideas. But we're going to go ahead and just learn the whole thing and then go from there. All right? So this is the Woodwind video. Make sure that you have done the other ones. This section that we're doing today will be your pass off next week. That'll be the first week of May. Okay? Hope everybody's doing well. And let's get started. All right, we're going to start with flutes. All right, so flutes. There are two flute parts in this song, and they are very, very similar. There are only a couple things in there that are a little bit different. So if you're looking at your music, where I don't want to stop, we're going to be looking from measure 1 to measure 13. It's going to be our section. Oh no, I apologize. To 21. My apologies. I want to make sure that you get through this melody section. Okay? All right. So as I'm looking at the parts, and as you're looking at the parts, the flute 1 and the flute 2 part are identical in rhythm. Identical. The only difference is there are a couple notes in the flute 2 part that are a little bit lower than the flute 1 part, but it's not much. It looks like maybe one measure between 1 and 21, and then at 21 it's a little bit lower. It looks like it's down the octave. Okay, but that's pretty much it. So I'll be honest with you, flutes, as we're looking at this, we might all play the flute 1 part because it looks like most of this flute 2 stuff is just down the octave. All right, so everybody take a look at the flute 1 part on this one, and I'm going to do the same. All right, so rhythmically a lot less difficult than another brick in the wall. Now it's much, much faster. You can see that the quarter note is equal to 148. So it's a pretty quick song, okay? But the rhythm is much more simple, a lot less off beats and things like that. This is more of a standard rock tune than the other one. I apologize, I'm working things out of my throat apparently. So let's start slowly. What I'd like to do today, one of the requests I've had is to do this with a metronome instead of just myself. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it at 100. Okay? So at 100, that's our tempo. We're going to go 1 to 20, 1 to 13 rhythmically. Okay? 1, 2, 3. 1 and 1 and 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 3, 4, 1. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so rhythmically not too bad. not too bad. Sorry, I'm forgetting where to look at. It's rhythmically, it's not too bad. So take a look as we look at things that aren't rhythmically as difficult. So let's start getting a little bit deeper. So you see accents on the beginnings of these notes. Bing, bam, long, short, dee-da, dee-da, dee-da. Okay, for each of those, these not making them too short, but accented. Da, da, da. Okay? And that is looks like a high G flat. Okay, it'd be high F sharp. So remember that's forked with the lever and your thumb and your third finger. Okay? All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to move on. I'm going to pass this for now. And I want to move on to this part. Now, it's not as bad as it looks because it's very repetitive. So we're going to start at 16 and go from 16 to 21. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 16, 1. And 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and there. Okay, and I apologize. I said 1. There's not actually a 1 there. Okay, so I'm gonna do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 21. Okay, so again, not too bad. Make sure you see that all of these are marked tenuto. Da 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 is what we're looking at rhythmically. Okay, all right. So that was at 100. Now let's look at it at tempo, which is 148. All right, so this is the recording that's on Google Classroom. So let's just move along with it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you heard that little bit, but da da da, dee da 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 is that's the only spot that's really not melody as much as the rest. Okay, so take a look at that. That'll be the pass off for next week. Thanks, Flutes. If you have any questions, you saw on the remind that we're changing it up in the afternoon just a little bit to where we're making it a little bit more instrument specific. So if you have questions, hop on during your time on your day, and we'll make sure to go over some things. All right, thanks. Have a good day. All right, hello, clarinets. To this point, you should have gone all the way through the first tune. I don't want to stop is kind of like opener 1B. It's actually going to be part of the opener. We're going to combine the two songs. And we're still working on how we want to do that exactly, but that is the idea. They're both pretty short songs, and we're going to combine them and cut some things and put them on together. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go from measure 1 to 21. Okay? Now, as I'm looking at the flute 1 and the flute 2 parts between 1 and 21, in this song, it's a little less complicated than Another Brick in the Wall, but it's a lot faster. Okay? So, the rhythms are all identical. Flute 1, or sorry, not flute, clarinet 1 or clarinet 2, everything is identical rhythmically. The only thing that's different is, the flute, I'm sorry, I keep saying flute. The clarinet 1 part is just higher than the clarinet 2 part, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is we'll go over both parts, and then we'll do it with the recording. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. One of the requests that I've had is to do things with a little bit more of a metronome. That way you can practice with me a little bit cleaner. So what I'm going to do is, you see on this song, I'm going to start with the clarinet one part. It's marked at 148. Okay, pretty quick. I'm going to go 100, not 148. So this is the tempo at 100. Okay? So we're going to go from the beginning. I'm going to go from 1 to 13 to start. All right? 1, 2, beginning. 1 and 1 and 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 3, 4, 1, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? So that is a tempo that you should be able to more or less sight read at, Clarinet 1. You should be able to sight read at that tempo. Okay? All right, so the only thing in there, you got yourself a flat, so don't forget. Okay? If you're not sure about some of these higher notes, make sure that you check the fingering chart that I put on Google Classroom in the upper octave. Okay? All right, so let's take a look here at this little thing. We're going to go from 16 to 21. Okay? So as we're going through, one of the things that I would highlight as you're doing this, because this is obviously not as difficult as the first song. Go ahead and start doing the articulations, okay? Bum, 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 doo-da, da, doo-da, da, 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 da. Okay, all those little things, is that way you're already getting in the habit of doing it. And you can hear it in the recording played that way, okay? All right, so at 100, I'm going to go past these two measures of rest and start right here at 16. All right, so it starts on the and of 4. All right, and the first number that you're going to hear is 2. Okay? All right, so here's 16. 1, 2, 16, and 1, 2, 3. And 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 21. Okay? So you're going 3 and 4 and rest. 3 and 4 and. Okay, and those are all real short and real strong. Okay? All right, so Clarinet 1, let's take a look at this with the recording. All right, so, I'm sorry about that. So this is with it at tempo. So 100 is what you should sight read it at. Some of you might be more or less able to sight read it much closer to tempo. The only thing that might get you is a couple of these little runs here and those kinds of things. But go ahead. This one should be much more readable. This is our kind of in-your-face song, not necessarily our technically difficult song. Okay? All right, from the beginning, please, clarinets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's that first section, Clarinet 1. Again, I would focus here and right there. Okay, all right, Clarinet 2, let's take a look at yours. I'm not going to do, again, if you just skipped all the way to this part where it says Clarinet 2, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, because I'm not going over every little thing since the rhythms are identical. Okay, so here's what I will do though. I will count through it at 100, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go from the beginning to the end since the rhythms are exactly the same. Okay, so just a couple fingering things you see there, a bunch of F sharps and G sharps. Make sure you realize G sharp is equal to A flat, the high A flat. So that is this pinky, 1, 2, 3 G, with this pinky like a low C sharp. And then the F sharp, of course, is your middle finger. So this note and this note, all of these right here, are identical. All right, just make sure if you haven't spent a lot of time up there in that upper octave clarinet too, G sharps and A flats are exactly the same. Okay? All right, so from the beginning at 100. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 1 and 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Measure 1, measure 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 21. Okay? So again, you should have a much easier time with this one than you did with Another Brick in the Wall, which is why we wanted to start with Another Brick in the Wall. Okay? All right, so let's do it with the recording clarinet too. Okay, so that'll give you a place to go. That's where we're going to be headed. All right, next week we'll take a look at this section here. If you want to go ahead and start taking a look at it, it would do you a lot of good. This song we can more or less do in 2 sections, not 1. Or sorry, not 3, like the other one. So be ready, because we're going to knock this one out pretty quickly. Okay? All right, thank you, clarinets. If you have any questions, check the remind where the clarinet only time on the Google Meet is, so you can go ahead and hop on and ask specific questions, and we might even be able to work on some things pertaining just to you. Okay, thanks. Hey, alto saxes. So to this point, you should have done 2 pass-offs for Another Brick in the Wall. The third one will be due this week, which means by the end of the week, you should be able to roughly play through Another Brick in the Wall. Now, I realize some of you might be playing it at tempo, some of you might be playing it very, very slow. Both are fine, okay? The goal is for you to be able to play through it, and so that when we get back for band camp and the start of next year, you're able to piece it together, and we can move rather quickly through playing it, because we're going to have a lot of extra things to do. Okay? All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to start with I Don't Want to Stop. I Don't Want to Stop is kind of the second half. It's more or less a opener 1B. What we're going to do is use both of these songs as the opener and combine them into one kind of mysterious opener that starts big and then stays big with I Don't Want to Stop. Okay? So, what we're going to do today is we're going to look from measure 1 to 21. Now, excuse me. Y'all have a little bit more melody in this one, starting at about measure 13. But there's a lot of unison. This one is more of a traditional rock tune. It's kind of all together versus the Another Brick in the Wall, which was more chaotic and things like that. Okay, all right. So taking a look at these parts, it looks to me the rhythms are identical from 1 to 13. The rhythms are identical. The only difference is in the Alto 1 versus Alto 2. Alto 1, the notes are higher. Okay, then we get to 13, and y'all are all in unison. Okay, in unison all the way up to the 2 notes before 21, which are still the same rhythm, they're just different notes. Okay? All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the Alto 2 part today. All right, so Alto 1s, take a look at this for the rhythm. All right, so then you can put it with yours. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go from 1 to 13 first. And one of the things that has been requested, which I'm more than happy to do, is instead of me just kind of counting through, I'm going to do this with a slow metronome. So this is marked at 148, which is pretty quick. This click right now is at 100. Okay, so if you're doing it at 100, this is what we're doing right now. Okay, so I'm going to count through from 1 to 13. All right, 1, 2, beginning, 1 and 1 and 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 1 and 4 and 3, 4, 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 1. Okay, so really quickly, let's just take a look at these couple measures right here. So this is on 1, the rest is on 2, which puts this on the and, 3, and 4. So it'd be 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So it comes out as 1 and 4. Okay, 1 and 4. I'm sorry, my 4 was late. 1 and 4. Okay, this one here, this beat 1 is a rest. So this comes in on the and of 1. The second one is on beat 2 and 3, 4, 1. And 3, 4, 1. And 3, 4, 1. And then this one's the same as the first one. So this is 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So slowly, just to make sure. 1 and 4 and 3, 4, 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, just to make sure that rhythm in that little spot. All right, so then at 13, you take over with part of the melody here at 13. So we'll do it with the metronome. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and. Okay, and that gets us all the. Oh, I'm sorry, we were supposed to do those measures. 1 and. Okay, and that'll get you to 21. Okay, so same thing. Take a look here. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. All right, so you can rewind this a few times and do that as many times as you might need. Okay, and then will go together. All right, so here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to do it with the recording, so obviously this is much faster. But this is with the recording from the beginning, the Alto 2 part. Okay. Okay, so here's the good news on this one as you're listening to it and we move over to the alto one part. The good news on this one is, unlike another brick in the wall, you can hear your part clearly on this recording. There's no doubt where you're supposed to play. Okay, which is why we started with another brick in the wall, because it was a little bit more difficult and you needed a little bit more time. Okay, all right, so alto ones. I'm not going to spend as much time going over the rhythm, so what I'd like to do is one time, just so you can hear it with the metronome, from 1 to 21, and then we'll do it with the rhythm. Okay, 1, 2, beginning. 1 and 1 and 4 and 4, 4 and 4, 1 and 4 and 3, 4, 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 1 and that gets us to 21. Okay, and you might realize that that's a pretty big chunk. This is not really a long song. We should more or less be able to do this in 2 pass-offs instead of 3. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the beginning and let's listen to it with the recording. Okay, and that's about half of the song. Okay, because the good news is, you know, this is kind of a variation on what you did earlier, and we'll take a look at that next week. Okay, so you'll have your third pass off due this week, which is the end of another brick in the wall, and this will be your pass off for next week. Thanks, Altos. Oh, I'm sorry, Altos. Make sure you check the remind. We're doing the live chat a little bit different from now on. Make sure you check to see when your day and time is, and we'll come in and do alto and saxophone specific things. Okay, so make sure you check so you can come in and just do alto stuff. All right? All right, tenors. So to this point, you should have turned in 2 pass-offs. The third one is due this week, which is the third and final part of another brick in the wall. So by the end of this week, you should have turned in all 3 sections, and you should be able to more or less play through another brick in the wall. Now, some of you are doing it tempo, some of you might be doing it slower. That's fine, as long as you're working your way through it. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to start working our way through I Don't Want to Stop. Now, I Don't Want to Stop is actually going to be part of the opener as well. Another brick in the wall and I Don't Want to Stop are going to combine to be one opener. Okay, they're both fairly short, and we're going to combine them. We haven't decided 100% on how we're going to do that. So we're just going to go ahead and learn them all the way through. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and learn them all the way through, and then we'll figure that out when we're all together. Okay? All right, so as I look at this tenor part, you actually have mostly melody in this song. Okay? You can hear it in a lot of places, is you have the melody with the horns and with the low brass. Okay? So this one is going to be super important for y'all. All right, so let's just take a quick look at this figure that happens a bunch of times. So this would be 2/16 followed by an 8th, 1 E and, 2 and, 3 and. So 1 E and, 2 and, 3 and. 1 E and, 2 and, 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Is what that is every single time. You see it happens all over the place. So you need to make sure you have that rhythm together. Okay? So what I'm going to do is this piece is marked at 148, which is pretty quick. I'm going to put on a metronome at 100 to make sure that I stay on time, and that way you can practice with this as well, and making sure that you're on time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from 1 to 13. 1 to 13 with this metronome. Okay? 1, 2, beginning. 1 and 1 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and 1 and 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 4 and 3, 4, 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 13. Okay, so let's just take a look at a couple things that could throw you off. Thing number 1, getting off of this note on the and of 2 to move into here. So this would be 1 and 1, 2 and 4 and. 1 bum 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 bum. So this is one thing. Don't try to break there. Okay? Bum 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 bum. Okay, that's one phrase. So that's be something I would take a look at. Thing number 2. This little section right here. It's much harder looking than it is. All right, so it's 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was completely wrong. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1 and 4. 1 and 4. Okay. Next measure. Beat 1 is the rest. And 2, and 3, 4. And 3, 4, and 3, 4. Okay, so you put them together. 1 and 4 and 3, 4, 1 and 4. Okay, and it's going to be so fast that, you know, more or less the way you need to think of it, all of these notes are exactly the same. Okay, you have a quarter note and you have a tied 2 eighth notes, which means it's exactly the same as a quarter note. So when you play this, every note in here should sound exactly the same. Bump, 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 each time. Okay? All right, let me put the metronome back on, and let's look at 13. Okay? 1, 2, 13, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1, 3. Sorry, that's not 3. 1 and that gets us to 21, which is where we're going to stop today. Okay, we'll do 21 to the end next week. We're going to do this song in 2 big chunks. Okay? All right, so let's do this. Can we go back to the beginning? I'm so sorry. And do it with the recording. So that was at 100. The recording's at 138. So tenors, one of the things that you're really going to have to work on is you see you got lots of low D's and lots of low C's. Okay? So it's not just the rhythm for y'all, it's working out, making sure that all those notes are coming out and coming out well and not just honking. Okay? All right. 1, 2, 21. Alright, and that gets you to 21. So a couple of things I would point out in there as you're putting all this together. For most of you, this is not going to be as difficult as the first song. So go ahead and make sure that you're putting in these accents and the legatos and staccatos and things like that. So we get bum 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 da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. That's gotta be short there. Da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. Where was that staccato? Da 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 da. And make sure that you go ahead and put those things in there, because that'll make a big difference when it comes to putting that song all the way together. Okay? If you have questions or to check in and go over parts, make sure you check your mind. What I did for this week, and we probably will do for the next few weeks, is breaking up our time in the afternoon to be instrument specific. That way, you can come in at a specific time and just worry about your instrument instead of just having everybody come in at random times. Okay? All right, so go ahead and start working on that. Pass off this week is the end of another brick in the wall, and this, what we just did, will be the pass off for next week. All right, good luck, and if you have any questions, just let me know.